Hi, I'm Joan Newcomb, and today's morning musings is What do you do? I'm doing a series of daily morning musings, and I'm using posts from my blog, Adventures in Density and Effort, as inspiration. Now, I've been writing this blog since 2004. We're up to 2012 now. So if I encounter anything that is out of date, I will give you the most recent information, and at the end, I will summarize the topic based on what's going on in the world today. Also, I have some special offers, so stay tuned to the very end to see what they are. What do you do? The other night, I saw a documentary, Jiro Dreams of Sushi, about an 85-year-old Japanese sushi master who has been in love with his work for his entire life. He spoke about his vocation as a true artist would, totally committing every waking moment to perfecting his craft. His dedication may reflect the values of old Japan, but it also embodies what it is like when you, as consciousness, are expressing your true essence here in physical form. When you meet people, it seems like the first thing they ask you is, what do you do? If you're not working, if you've been fired or laid off, it might be challenging to answer that question. I mean, you can't just answer literally, like what you're doing at this moment. I stand at parties with a drink in my hand and talk to people. I shop for groceries. I send out 3 resumes a week to qualify for unemployment benefits. Especially in Washington, D.C., which is where I was when I wrote this. This area is all about power and status and definable identities. It's been hard for me to respond since I put my radio show on hiatus. It was such an easy answer. Oh, I host a radio show. I interview interesting people. I talk to listeners. The other work I do isn't commonplace. I still do psychic readings, mystic coaching, and matrix, but I don't have the energy to explain what those are. And yet, I don't want to say I'm caring for my mother who has Alzheimer's and cancer. She's dying and doesn't know it. It's kind of a downer and doesn't really explain what I am doing. When you look at what is happening throughout the world, more and more people are out of work. People have been unemployed for years. The headlines say the economy may never recover. These people are actually doing something. They're just not working 8 to 5 in their chosen careers, bringing in X amount of income. It seems to me that the paradigm is disintegrating. The one that says we all need a job, a career, a title, a resume, something that we do. Originally, people were hunters and gatherers. Me hunt, you gather. Pretty simple. Everybody did it. There wasn't any difference. Ugma's cave wasn't any bigger than Wugma's because he got a bigger bison. As we evolved, people became compartmentalized. There were farmers. There were soldiers. A caste system developed. Some things people did were lower than others. And because people did what their families did, you were born into it, and there was nothing you could do about it. Then people became affiliated with their trades. There were blacksmiths and silversmiths. There were printers and bakers. You could leave the farm and be apprenticed to a tradesman. You could leave the family identity and take on something new. Somewhere along the way, we lost connection to passion, to what we feel compelled to bring to this world. Our careers have become about status and income and who you are externally. Our work no longer expresses our innermost creativity. As consciousness, we're bringing ourselves back into balance with this whole unemployment story. People who are enmeshed with the label of their work are being laid off. It's an opportunity for evolvement, for your true self to shine through. People can be in stable, cushy jobs and desperately unhappy. Their inner being is crying out to express itself authentically. The more attached you are to external definitions, the more painful things are right now. Eckhart Tolle went through a period of chosen unemployment when he basically spent a couple years sitting on park benches smiling. All his Germanic programming to work hard, be productive, evaporated into a blissful state of being. How do you answer the question, what do you do? Does it line up with your inner being? What is unfolding in your storyline? Have you lost your career? What are you creating instead? Whatever is happening is a gift, helping you to expand to your true self. So this was all written in 2012, and the 2008 crash really went on through 2013 at least. I remember coming back from DC to Seattle and seeing these apartment buildings and office buildings standing there empty with Tyvek molding flapping in the wind, half constructed. But the funny thing also was, shortly after I got back from DC, I went to the Seattle Town Hall where they had an interview with Mary Roach, who at the time had just written the book Packing for Mars. And while I was standing in line to get in, I had a conversation with the woman behind me. I don't think she asked me first. I may have asked her first what she did. And she said, "Oh, I'm a life coach." And I had not used that at all during my time in DC because it was too vague an answer for that time to try to explain what I was and what I am. I'm a consciousness coach. But now, 2024, I was certified as a coach in 2001, I think it was. People pretty much know what coaches are. But bringing this up to date with what's going on in the world today is there's a lot more choice about what you're doing and what you're expressing in the world. And even so, we're still coming out of those old paradigms parents and family expectations. And one of the evolutions that I've been through in the last few years is going from that experience of having a radio show, because I resumed my radio show after I got back from DC, having a radio show and teaching classes and doing sessions. And I still will do sessions and I still have coaching clients. And rather than the classes themselves, I have all the lessons recorded. But I'm being called to a higher purpose, which started at that time. So 2012, I was midwifing my mother back to spirit. And when I came back in 2013, just a few months after that, my father had a third recurrence of lung cancer. So I flew out originally just to help record some memories for him, and then a couple months later to help him pass at home. So at that time, I felt pretty confident about midwifing people back to spirit. And then 5 years later, my little brother had a stroke, and I found myself out there initially supporting my sister-in-law, who was working two jobs at the time. She had been working 7 days a week, but she quit her weekend jobs, and she was working two jobs 5 days a week. And I would help her out by taking care of my brother, who was early on in his stroke. So initially, he couldn't walk, he couldn't bathe, or any of those basic things. And the somewhat unspoken agreement was that I would just be doing that until she could retire. But what happened was the pandemic came and it became unclear when she would be able to retire. She worked for the Department of Education and they basically shut things down. It was a disaster. And in the midst of all that, in 2021, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So suddenly I shifted to helping her navigate Western medicine and cancer treatment and insurance stuff and all the things I had learned a little bit in helping my brother with his going to doctor's appointments and insurance stuff was a whole new level helping her. So the thing shifted from midwifing people back to spirit to helping people who've had catastrophic experiences to live. And in the 2 years that my sister-in-law was having continuous chemo, it was amazing. My brother did start walking again and he can bathe himself and he actually can make his breakfast in the morning. So amazing things have unfolded in the years since his stroke. And my sister-in-law is on an extended period of time, watch and wait, because her cancer went from the chemo being palliative to now it's just considered chronic. That's an interesting universe to have stepped into. So for the last 40 years, I've navigated my life as a mystic in this world with my higher awareness of consciousness. And it's just interesting that I've shifted to these individuals in my family who need help either midwifing to spirit or shifting to the higher consciousness. That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about this before, but we've been evolving to a higher level of consciousness. Wow, that's really big to realize this. So we're shifting to a higher level of consciousness. We're experiencing it in different ways. You could lose your career, which is a part of your identity. It's an opportunity to shift to a more expanded experience of what you're doing in the world. But you could also have a health crisis, which is all about shifting your focus on navigating your life in this reality with this physical vehicle in a different way. Because one of the things I see is as greater consciousness comes into form, it's a higher vibration, and our old forms of vehicles are a little bit like gasoline-powered engines, and we're now running on fuel cells or solar or something like that. And it doesn't mean we have to leave our bodies and get new ones. It could just be that with these health challenges, we're being in our bodies in a different way. And not everyone's going to have a health crisis in order to do this. There are so many other infinite possibilities that we can create. So notice this for yourself. If you've had these experiences or different experiences over the last few years, look into your own life and see it more as an expression of you as consciousness operating at a more embodied level of awareness. So if you've had an experience like this, go ahead and leave me a comment below. I'd love to read your comments. And if you like these videos, please share them with your family and your friends and on your social media. You can also click the like button and subscribe, and that way you're telling the algorithm to share this far and wide and get this out to someone who really needs to see this information. And if you'd like a free sample of one of my consciousness techniques, Manifesting Money and Miracles is a great way to kind of see your life from a drone perspective where you can see all the different things going on rather than from just sitting in the car and the traffic jam on the freeway. And if you want some manifestation techniques, Manifesting Money and Miracles is my self-study course where you can learn how to completely shift your external reality to allow more abundance, prosperity, and synchronicity into your life. And if you want to know more, my website is joan-newcomb.com. There you can learn about my personal sessions where I take a look at you as consciousness and what's going on in your life today. And then I can answer any questions you might have, whether it's about love or money, relationships, jobs, if you're moving or want to move. And I also can talk to your deceased loved ones, and it's all recorded just for you. And if you want to learn how to do this for yourself, that is to navigate your life as consciousness with the help of some consciousness techniques, Manifesting Money and Miracles is a great preparation for my coaching special where I work with you one-on-one and give you specifically chosen consciousness techniques so that you can transform your life. So go to my website, joan-newcomb.com, and I'll see you tomorrow in another Morning Musings.